Hi, this is Yelena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is for the Elizabeth Craft Designs Designers Challenge for July 2018, which was summer fun with words and numbers. So I used the Blackboard Alphabet Words Die Set, but first, let's look at my main focus, which was the Tropical Florals Die Set, which is pretty new. And I die cut out, as you can see, several of these. So I've got 3 of these. I'm calling this the more rounded leaf, and 2 of the spiky leaves, and then 1 of the big hibiscus and 2 of the small hibiscus, and then the appropriate middles and stamens for those hibiscus. Now, I did this one out of like a medium green cardstock, and then I'm adding some shading with my Spectrum Noir Illustrator marker, which is LG4. So I'm just tracing over the lines that are embossed on the leaf when it's die cut, and then I'm going around all the edges to just add a little bit of shading to the edges with the marker. And then I will do the exact same thing with the dark green leaves with my DG4 Illustrator marker. So you can see there, I'm just going over those embossed lines, and then I will go around all the outer edges of that as well. And I do the exact same thing for the hibiscus and the middles of the hibiscus. The lighter pink, I used my PP4 Illustrator marker from Spectrum Noir, and on the insides I used my PP5 Spectrum Noir regular marker, and I did add a little bit of shading to the centers there. Later I will go over that with my BP6 marker to kind of deepen down that shading a little bit. Now I broke out my Susan's toolkit, which is normally used for Susan's garden and garden note flowers, but I used it a little bit on these leaves and flowers to give them a little bit of shaping. So you can see I'm just taking the small leaf tool, and I'm going from the outside. I flipped the leaf over, and then I'm going from the outside to the inside, just pulling the leaf tool along to shape those petals so they roll towards the back. And then on that lighter green leaf, I just pulled vertically down the center, and then on this one I'm kind of going around in the center to shape it a little bit. I'm not going too nuts on the shaping, but I wanted to give it a little bit of realism, even though I wasn't really going for a realistic look with these flowers. Now I used my ball stylus to sort of scoop in the center, then I'm using the small leaf tool to scoop press the flowers or the petals in, and then I'm using the small end of the ball stylus to press the outer edges of the petals back to give the flowers a little bit of shaping, as you see there. And then the middles, which are the dark pink, I'm just going to press in the center with my ball stylus to give that a tiny bit of shaping. And then for the stamens, I used some Nuvo drops in dandelion yellow. I added those drops to the each outside edge of the stamen. The way it's die cut, it's pretty obvious where you add it. Then I waited for that to dry, and I added drops up the center as well. I do find it's important to let the drops dry so that they stay separate from each other. If you do them all at once and they touch each other, they connect into one big blob. So I usually wait for them to dry. And then I adhered the middles and the hibiscus together with some Kids' Choice glue. Now I've got an A2 size top folding card base out of 100-pound white soft finish cardstock, and then I cut that polka dot piece from the Thinking About Rio de Janeiro 12x12 paper pack to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've die cut a piece of through the lens wood paper using the 3rd largest die in the stitched ovals die set, and then I die cut out the word Aloha using the Blackboard Alphabet Die Set, as you see there. And it's important to save the centers of the A's and the O's on that because we're going to add those back in. And then I also have a piece of 85-pound white soft finish cardstock that's cut to about like 4 1/2 by 2. That's going to go behind the words there, as you see there. Now I've added 10mm adhesive to the back of the polka dot paper and put that on the card front. And now I'm just adhering the white piece behind the words. Now if I'd thought about it, I would have put liquid adhesive on the back of the sort of middle parts of the words here, like I'm doing now, before I stuck it down. But as you can see, it's not too hard to go back in after you've adhered the white piece in place and add that adhesive down. And I'm also using that same liquid glue pen to add the centers of the O and the A's back in so that you can read the word Aloha very easily. I thought that was pretty important. Now you can see I'm not totally centered on that oval, but it's not a big deal because you won't really notice by the time I get the flowers and everything in place. And now I'm just spacing out my leaves behind the oval frame, and I'm using the oval and the hibiscus as kind of a way to eyeball where these leaves are going to go. Now initially I'm going to add that spiky leaf on the left a little bit too far down, but the nice thing about the liquid glue pen is that it allows me to pry things up and move them around as long as I don't let them dry too long. And I tend to only add adhesive in the centers of leaves and flowers when I do this kind of thing, so that the dimension that I've added with the shaping tools stays in place and it doesn't get completely flattened. And you'll see there I'm just pulling up those leaves that I think are too far down and just rearranging them a little bit. And now I've got 10mm adhesive on the back of my oval, and I'm just going to adhere this entire thing down on top of the leaves in the center of the card base. Pretty basic. And now I'm adding the hibiscus with the Kids' Choice glue as you see them there. And I did outline these little stamens with the darker pink marker too. And I'm adhering them down like I adhered the flowers themselves with the Kids' Choice glue to the centers of the hibiscus. And I really thought at this point that this was the end of the design of the card. I wasn't planning on doing anything extra. I thought this was going to look pretty good. But of course, if you watch my videos regularly, you know my cards evolve, so I made a bunch of changes. So I took my BP6 marker, and this is where I darkened down the middles of the hibiscus a little bit. And then I added some clear sparkle marker because it was just lacking some life and needed some glitter and some sparkle. Then I took my pink quartz Spectrum Noir sparkle marker and I went all around the outer edge of that oval border. So there's a border created by the stitches when you die cut it with the stitched ovals. So I just colored that area in very carefully with that Spectrum Noir marker. Then I die cut out 6 of these smaller flowers from the small flower set using 85-pound white soft finish cardstock, and I grabbed my pink and silver glitter dots. Now I want to mention really quick that it would be a lot easier if you're going to reproduce this card to do that pink border before you adhere the oval to the front of the card, obviously. So I would say do that first. I did it very carefully once it was already adhered down, but obviously if you know you're going to do that ahead of time, do it before you adhere it down. Anyway, so I am shaping the little small flowers basically the same way I did the hibiscus, except minus the leaf tool on the petals. And then I've added a little bit of shading in the center with my CT2 yellow marker from Spectrum Noir, and then I'm adding the largest size of those pink and silver glitter dots to the centers. And then I did take one of the flowers and cut off one of the petals, and I'm just shaping the outside of the petals just a little bit. And I folded it in half, and I purposely folded it so that the back petals would show behind the front petals. I didn't want it like just folded on top of itself. And now I'm sort of cheating the shading a little bit so that you can see it from the front when it's folded together, like so. And then I'm going to take my Zig 2A glue pen and I'm going to just glue it in the middle to keep it folded closed. Now I've already adhered the other small flowers to the card as you see them, and I'm going to use my Kids' Choice glue to adhere these 2 remaining ones to the lower right there behind the hibiscus there, and then that folded one is going to go on the left side of that bigger hibiscus on the bottom. And I was very happy with this change. I thought that adding the pink border and the white flowers made a huge difference. Thought that it was a nice way to tie the white in from the words, as well as the white polka dots on the green background. And then of course all the sparkle just really finishes it off very nicely. Gotta have glitter, especially on a tropical floral card, right? And you can see it's not super dimensional. I think you could still mail this in a regular envelope, and even if it got a little squished, it wouldn't be too bad. But how fun is that? I've been like dying for a tropical vacation, and I'm not getting one anytime soon. So this helped me a little bit with my hankering for some florals, and reminded me a lot of Hawaii and hibiscus and plumerias from Hawaii. So hopefully I've inspired you today to try that Blackboard Alphabet Die Set along with the tropical florals to create a fun, summery tropical floral card. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment because I love getting comments. Here are 2 more projects I've done in the past for Elizabeth Craft Design, so check those out. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do that. I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.